we've got judge sides with Florida in challenge to rules about books in schools. Mark, what have you got here?
Interesting news. Many might say a turn in the right direction. A judge did side with the state of Florida, and the state of Florida has been wanting to create a systematic way for parents to know what their kids are reading in school, whether it's in the campus library or in the classroom. And this is a big thing. The Florida teachers unions, like pretty much all state teachers unions in the U.S., operate on the premise of in loco parentis, in the place of the parents. Parental rights and oversight is discouraged, sometimes completely neglected altogether. A Florida judge this week sided with the state, this is USA Today, in a challenge by the Florida Teachers Union over the rules that restrict what books and materials are available in the schools. The union and two other advocacy groups sued the state of Florida back in March, saying the way Florida interpreted a new law about school library books went further than the law intended, leading to censorship and book bans. But the judge ruled the other way. Moving on from there, the 2022 law by Florida requires districts to catalog every book on school shelves and create a formal review process for parental complaints. Some parents have asked for certain books to be removed from schools because of the new law, and lawsuits have emerged as a result. Since early 2021, lawmakers in virtually every state in the U.S. have introduced hundreds of bills, get that, seeking to restrict learning. This is USA Today talking now, to restrict learning and materials about controversial topics. Some of the legislation has focused on giving parents more access to and authority over curriculum. There again, there's that premise built in that parents need to be given authority when in the American system, having authority over one's children is a God-given thing. And so that's kind of the basic schematic of what's going on. Now, we have a video by a Miss Wong. Hopefully she doesn't get her arguments wrong. I can't I can't resist that quip. But at any rate, this video, I believe we have up, explains the, you might say, the liberal side of the equation and USA Today's very limited perspective on this.
Books are being challenged at an unprecedented rate this school year. These efforts are being driven mostly by conservative politicians with the help of parents who've organized in a grassroots fashion to get certain titles removed. A high-profile recent example involved the graphic novel Maus, and that's about the Holocaust. Another aspect that's different about this wave is the focus on libraries. Book banning efforts have often focused on curriculum, but lately they've extended to entire library collections, which observers say makes the trend particularly egregious because they're not just attacking what's required as part of curriculum, they're seeking to limit optional access. Almost all of the frequently targeted books deal with race, gender, or sexuality, and recent challenges have tended to focus on newer titles that explore the intersection between all three. And many contain sexually explicit scenes and swear words, and they often deal with heavy themes like rape and death and coming out. And, for many children, literature can provide a community and a safe haven. And that's particularly true of literature whose perspectives have often been excluded from traditional narratives. There is an interesting initiative underway to distribute copies of Maus and Beloved to frequently banned books in schools in both Texas and Virginia. So there are some initiatives underway to fill the gaps that these bans or challenges create.
And yeah, interesting. You'll notice how everything she says treats what parents want or what parents are concerned about with total and utter disregard. The book Maus that they say is about the Holocaust, you'll notice there's no investigation as to what particularly is in the book that parents might have objected to. See, so you don't really get a look at why parents would, some parents at least, would object to that book or other books. We're kind of winding up here at issue books in classrooms versus school libraries. The union and advocacy groups took issue with the state's expansive application of the law, which addresses materials contained in a school library media center. The Florida Department of Ed they argued, improperly interpreted that to include collections in classrooms, not just those in the campus libraries. The Florida Union said it had led teachers to covering up classroom bookshelves or emptying them out. And going on from there, there's victory acknowledged here on the conservative side of the ledger, however. Read it and weep, tweeted Florida Education Commissioner Manny Diaz Jr. It's sad to see the Florida Teachers Union waste their members' hard-earned money on a frivolous lawsuit against the state to block parents from knowing what their children are reading in classrooms. Heaven forbid, right? Today's ruling is a major win for Florida parents and classroom transparency, his tweet continued. And in May, Florida's State Board of Ed voted to require state officials to publish an annual list of library books and instructional materials that have drawn public objections. So by all accounts, Florida is trying to make everything transparent. And those that believe that kids at any age can read just any material without any concerns about their development or the appropriateness of the material, they're finally being pushed back on their heels, and parental rights, which are a natural born thing, are finally being recognized in Florida. So this is all in all a good development.
Okay, Mark, thank you very much for that report. It is a good development, but we still have problems.